if you think I have a tumor.
Because I figure you lied.
So when he asked you, what did you say?
At first I told him no, but then I told him yes, I was pregnant.
Why did you tell him no?
Because I was scared. I already had 2 children. I didn't want to be pregnant again.
What about the birth certificate?
You wanted him to have your
You
last
told
name.
me if I wanted that kid
To have your
my
last
last
name.
name and I wanted to claim him, I would be there for the birth.
Yeah.
And I was there.
That's
and
why
I
you got
did
your
it.
last name.
We hung out. The next day, I see a piece of paper on my bed. I grab it, I looked at it. It was a note with an ultrasound in it. It said that she didn't know how to tell me this, and she's sorry she had to tell me like that.
Mr. Milford spills the beans about his military past and the radiation that supposedly zapped his fatherly potential. He stands there in the courtroom, looking like he's about to crack, explaining how his time with air defense artillery left him shooting blanks. He seems really torn up as he details how this twist of fate has thrown a wrench in his life. You won't believe what happens next.
Mr. Milford, you don't believe Mr. Johnson is your son. Your claim is that you performed police actions with air defense artillery while in the Army, which exposed you to radiation, making it impossible for you to have more children. So, Ms. Johnson, what has Mr. Milford done for your son?
This is about to get even more intense. Ms. Johnson steps up to the plate, throwing curveballs at Mr. Milford about their baby drama. She's all like, it's a baby, not a belly bump. Despite their cozy nights, Ms. Johnson is visibly miffed, tossing her hands up in the air over his tumor theory, calling out his ludicrous denial with a mix of frustration and disbelief. Just wait for the emotional twist ahead.
He kept asking me, was I pregnant? But he said, I told him it was a tumor. But why are you asking me if I'm pregnant if you think I have a tumor?
Because I figure you lied.
So when he asked you, what did you say?
At first I told him no, but then I told him yes, I was pregnant.
Why did you tell him no?
Because I was scared. I already had 2 children. I didn't want to be pregnant again.
This testimony is heartbreaking. Here comes Curious Johnson, dropping a truth bomb about the whole daddy debacle that's got his life spinning like a datum soap opera. He lays it all out about his identity crisis, how it's been nothing short of a roller coaster, with more downs than ups, and the courtroom is dead silent, totally buying into his tearjerker of a tale. The tension only builds from here.
The way you came to my house,
I still have 2 children.
how did I get pregnant with
lady.
Kimanda if I didn't want sleeping with you? You came to my house.
Sleeping with me then.
Johnson, Mr. Milford, I want to hear from Kiera. Mr. Johnson, I feel for you sitting here. I mean, listening to this go back and forth. You've been hearing this all your life. This has been the confusion you've lived in for 26 years?
Yes, Your Honor.
The plot thickens here. Mr. Milford isn't giving up. He's on a mission, hitting up the DNA test center, not once, not twice, but 3 times to prove he's not the daddy. But guess what? Ms. Johnson isn't playing ball, dodging the test like it's dodgeball day in gym class, which only adds more spice to this already sizzling saga. Hold on, the revelations are about to escalate.
So I went down to the DNA place. She didn't show up. This the
It
third
never
time.
happened.
The
When did
third
that happen?
time.
When did that happen?
The third time she showed up with the kid and got to arguing with the DNA people. And
That never happened.
And they ran out the door.
When I lived in the
oh my-
county, I was in another relationship.
Wait a minute. You went to try to submit for a DNA test
I
3
did
times.
submit 3 times.
Everyone in the courtroom is on edge. Enter Ms. Chavella Jones, the sideline spectator with a front row seat to the family feud. She's throwing shade like it's sunny, hinting that Mr. Milford might not be the father after all, based on her sneak peeks at Ms. Johnson's little black book. She's got the inside scoop and isn't afraid to dish it out. Things are about to get even more dramatic.
At this time, the court would like to call an independent witness, Ms. Chavella Jones. Jerome, would you please escort her into the courtroom?
Bring you up to the witness stand right there.
Ms. Jones, welcome. Thank you for being here. What do you know about this situation? How are you related?
I had a baby by him first. I dated him all the way through school. I don't understand how they even went there.
Because Ms. Johnson is
My first cousin.
your first cousin.
Correct.
No one was ready for what the judge had to say. The judge takes the stage, schooling Mr. Milford and Ms. Johnson on how their messy love saga has been nothing short of a circus, with tricks and treats that have left young Keary's caught in the crossfire. She's laying down the law, pointing out every irresponsible juggle and misstep in their act. The next moment is a game changer.
And see, I fought you. It's your fault. It really is. Because
hadn't seen her in 7
you're
years.
8 years older
I hadn't
than
seen her in 7
She was a child.
6,
you
7
had
years.
no business.
All you
I want
wanted
you to say
was a sugar daddy.
You didn't
You could have had
want to.
anything.
I wouldn't sleep with you, so you wouldn't do nothing for
No,
the kids.
no, you
said
said
it point
Mr.
blank.
Milford and Miss Johnson, this could go on forever. I keep giving you all a little leeway to see if maybe we could get somewhere.
The courtroom holds its breath, and boom, the DNA results are in. The judge drops the mic.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Milford, you are not his father.
That's wow.
Ms. Crowley steps up to the plate in a courtroom drama, pitching her request for a DNA test to determine the paternity of her 2-year-old son, Dior. She's pointing the finger at Mr. Houston as the dad. Thanks to a very specific night, they apparently didn't just watch Netflix. She's super sure about the date, basically betting the farm that he's the father. Just watch how Mr. Houston reacts to this.
Ms. Crowley, you have petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that the defendant is the father of your 2-year-old son, Dior. You claim to remember the exact night you conceived, and therefore, he is your child's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Houston, you say you are certain that you are not her child's father and claim to have to support your case.
Hold on to your hats because this next part is a doozy. Mr. Houston is up at bat now, swinging back with full confidence that he's not the child's father. He's not just denying it, he's got some kind of secret evidence up his sleeve that he claims will clear the whole thing up. He's as adamant as a cat on a hot tin roof about his non-involvement and is gearing up to defend his case with gusto. And his next move, it's going to knock your socks off.
She says you do nothing for Dior. Is that true?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor. Only reason why I don't, because I feel like I wasn't gonna do nothing for the baby until I found out he was mine. Me and Dawn, we've been knowing each other since we was kids. I went to Detroit, came back, I met her. She was going through her little situation with her boyfriend.
What unfolds next is crucial to understanding their soap opera-worthy history. Mr. Houston dives into a backstory of his relationship with Ms. Crowley, covering their long history and their not-so-distant encounters. He's adamant that his alibi, being out of town, is as solid as a rock, making it impossible for him to be the father. You'll want to see what Ms. Crowley has to say about this, because it's about to get spicy.
When she told me that Dior was born, there was no way it could have been my baby because I was out of town. I haven't been back in Rochester for numerous of years. I wasn't gonna do nothing until we found out Dior was mine. I asked her, I told her I'd pay for a DNA test. She denied.
Ms. Crowley, Mr. Houston is saying he's doing nothing for this child because it's not his.
The tension is building like a suspense novel. Ms. Crowley accuses Mr. Houston of ducking out on his responsibilities by missing a previously scheduled DNA test. She paints him as more elusive than a greased-up Harry Houdini, which just adds more fuel to the fiery drama of figuring out who's daddy. The courtroom is about to turn into a pressure cooker.
I gave him an opportunity when I went to child support, and I did it when my baby was around 6 months. But I got the DNA test. He never showed up for it, so he's not trying to see if this is his son.
Because I was not in town.
And you tried to get the DNA, but you say he didn't show up for that, and he's done nothing for the child.
Nothing. I've been taking care of him by myself, trying to go to school.
Girl been infatuated with me since we was in 8th grade.
Grab your popcorn. This confrontation is like a scene straight out of a telenovela. In a fiery exchange, Ms. Crowley and Mr. Houston hash out their past relationship dramas, each one airing their version of whether they were ever truly an item. This intense chat brings out all the personal baggage and emotional drama you could hope for in a paternity dispute. Their next evidence piece is going to be a showstopper.
In your mind, this was a relationship, Ms. Crowley.
Yeah.
I was you in a relationship. When I came around, she had a whole boyfriend. I was staying with her.
That wasn't
sleeping
my
on her
boyfriend,
sister's
and
couch.
he knew that I was messing with other people. That wasn't my boyfriend either.
So you were sleeping with other people during the time you were also sleeping with Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Even though you were with other men while you were with Mr. Houston, you know the exact night you conceived.
Yes.
What night is this?
March 11th.
You won't believe what's coming next. Mr. Houston rolls out a calendar as his secret weapon, showing off dates that he claims will prove he was out of state when Dior was conceived. This calendar is like his magic trick, meant to vanish the timeline Ms. Crowley has laid out. And then, just when you think you've seen it all, there's a twist that will flip the script.
I was out of town, yes. I was in
On
Detroit.
March 21st.
Yes, ma'am.
not
I mean, I
saying
got
that.
to Rochester the 23rd because I caught the Greyhound. I left on the 22nd.
On this particular calendar, it shows you met Ms. Crowley, you say on April 13th?
That's when we had sex.
That's when you had sex.
Yes, ma'am.
Things just got real interesting. The court is all ears as they learn about Mr. Houston's medical condition, which could mean his swimmers might not be up to the task. This scientific curveball adds a whole new layer to his defense, suggesting maybe he couldn't be the dad, even if he was in town. But don't go anywhere. The DNA test results are about to drop a bombshell.
Dude,
I don't-
understand what
latex
was y'all
don't
having
irritate me.
unprotected sex. She said
Why
yes.
were you then having unprotected sex with Ms. Crowley when you thought she had a boyfriend?
No, I only had unprotected sex with Dawn the night when on the April 13th, we had a block party. They stayed right around the corner from my mother's house. When we had the block party, we was all drinking. Me and Dawn, we did our 1-2
I don't know
without a
anything
condom.
about this block party because I didn't go. I don't know what he's talking about.
This is the moment everyone's been waiting for, folks. The DNA test results are finally unveiled, and boom.
Mr. Houston, you are Dior's father. The first thing out of your mouth when I said you are the father is exactly what I want to hear. What did you say?
Can I see the baby?
Mr. Whistler's deep in the financial muck, right? He's chatting about how he's slapped with a whopping $21,000 in child support garnishments for a kid he's pretty sure isn't even his. The dude's basically living on scraps here, winding up with a meager $70 each week after they've done raiding his paycheck. Talk about a tight budget.
Mr. Whistler, you claim you currently owe almost $21,000 in back child support
Yes, Your Honor.
for the defendant's son, a young man you believe may not be yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say your paycheck is garnished each week, leaving you only $70.
Picture this scene in court. Mr. Whistler is up there, throwing down some serious doubts about being a dad because, according to his doctors, he's supposed to be shooting blanks. He spills the beans about his initial freakout when Ms. Frazier hit him with the pregnancy news back in late 2005. Yep, it's as messy as it sounds.
Once and for all, I've been waiting 18 years.
Well, tell me why you doubt paternity.
Because we were in a relationship late 2005, tells me she's pregnant. And I always ask her, are you for sure it is mine?
You had doubts from the beginning.
Yes, ma'am. I had a torsion. That, the doctor said right there, no, you're unable to have children.
Now, hold up for the juicy part. Ms. Frazier drops a bombshell during this heated chat. She admits there's another guy who might actually be the daddy. And guess what? She's been keeping his name on all the important docs all along, hinting she's been unsure about Mr. Whistler's daddy status from the get-go. Drama alert.
And you found out you were pregnant. Did you tell Mr. Whistler it was his child?
I told him I was pregnant, and he told me it wasn't his.
And the other guy that you say you always put his name on all paperwork.
All the paperwork.
What about the birth certificate?
You wanted him to have your
You
last
told
name.
me if I wanted that kid to have my last name, and I wanted to claim him, I would be there for the birth.
Yeah.
And I was there.
That's
and
why
I
he's got
did
your
it.
last name.
Things are heating up. Mr. Whistler whips out some paperwork for Judge Lake, showing off a letter from child enforcement that's screaming he's way behind on child support payments. This guy's financial soap opera is nothing short of a daytime Emmy nominee. Seriously, it's like his wallet's on life support.
Mr. Whistler, what is the evidence you keep holding up? May I see that,
A
please?
letter I received from the child enforcement of the state of Missouri just about 2 weeks ago, Your Honor.
But they're not giving it to me.
And, that just don't add up.
This letter from the state of Missouri indicates total past due support $20,850.
Yes, Your Honor.
56 cents.
Already on this child.
And then, boom, plot twist. Mr. Whistler tells a sob story about how he signed the birth certificate, totally convinced he was the pops. But oh snap, about half a year later, he finds out there might be another contender for Daddy of the Year. Too bad he'd already signed on the dotted line. Timing is everything, folks.
You signed the birth certificate willingly.
Yes, I was under the impression that I could have been the only person that could have been this child's father.
You signed that birth certificate because you believe at that time it was your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because that's what Miss Frazier told you, and never told you there was the other person.
Yes, Your Honor.
After the child was already here.
Yes, Your
and
Honor.
you had already signed the birth certificate.
Yes, Your Honor.
Fast forward a few awkward years, and the courtroom drama peaks. The DNA results are finally in, and guess what?
When it comes to the paternity of Mr. Dallas Whistler, Mr. Whistler, you are not his father.
Dallas, that still is not going to change my love for you and wanting to spend time with you.
The case Lockridge versus Tidwell kicks off with a bang as the courtroom clerk sets the stage. The introduction is nothing short of a blockbuster opener, laying the groundwork for a high-stakes paternity drama over Little King, a 10-month-old caught in the middle of a legal tug-of-war. Grab your popcorn because this is just the beginning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
This is a case of Lockridge v. Tidwell.
Thank you, Ron. Good day, everyone. Ms. Lockridge, you've dragged the defendant, Mr. Tidwell, to court because he has refused to acknowledge your 10-month-old son, King. You are 100% sure he's the father and claim today's results will prove your case.
You think reality TV is dramatic? Watch this. Miss Lockridge throws down the gauntlet, accusing Mr. Tidwell of bailing on their baby boy, King. She's dead set on proving he's the daddy, and her fierce determination lights up the courtroom. The emotional stakes are sky high, and trust me, you'll want to stick around to see how Mr. Tidwell handles this hot potato.
You say you were never in a serious relationship with Ms. Lockridge, and you were stunned when she told you she was pregnant. The timing leads you to suspect that baby King's father must be another man. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more soap opera-like, enter Mr. Tidwell with a plot twist. He claims shock and awe at the pregnancy news and hints that Miss Lockridge might have other visitors to her love nest. The timing of her announcement has him raising eyebrows and suspicions. What's next? Oh, it's a doozy.
The only time he's actually seen my son is when I've made it a convenience for him and brought him to him. That means traveling 4 hours on bus, driving 2 hours on the car to drive to him. He hasn't helped with diapers. diapers. He barely helped with any clothes. It's frustrating. He named my son King, and how am I supposed to raise a king and he's not there?
Cue the violins because Miss Lockridge's tale of solo parenting will tug at your heartstrings. She lays out the tough reality of raising King without any help from Mr. Suspected Daddy Tidwell. It's a roller coaster of emotions, and she's riding it solo. Don't go anywhere. The drama level is about to explode.
You named him King, Mr. Tidwell?
Yes, Your Honor.
But you don't have a relationship with him?
Nope, because, Your Honor, I think she's more wants me to be the dad than she really believes I'm the dad. She's obsessed with me, and she's done a lot of different things to make me feel like I'm not the father. She's left town. She's left me with the baby for weeks.
As if the emotional roller coaster wasn't enough, Mr. Tidwell cranks it up a notch by labeling Miss Lockridge as obsessed with him. The courtroom turns into a scene straight out of a dramatic thriller, with accusations flying like popcorn kernels in hot oil. You'll be on the edge of your seat wondering what bombshell will drop next.
She has other men around.
But you named the child.
She gave me the right to do that. She talked to me. I wasn't there at the birth. She only called me when she had the baby.
So take me back to this relationship. I want to understand all
There
this.
was no relationship.
Just, what, casual sex?
Yes.
We were on and off for 6 years. We were together for my understanding, how he led me to believe I was single or I was with him in a committed relationship. I was my side, my personal opinion. We were together for a year.
Plot twist. Mr. Tidwell plays the casual fling card hard, suggesting their flings were as casual as jeans and a t-shirt. He's all about denying any serious ties that might pin him down as a dad, but don't get too comfy. There's more twisty turmoil ahead.
She came over to my house. We hung out. The next day, I see a piece of paper on my bed. I grab it, I looked at it. It was a note with an ultrasound in it. It said that she didn't know how to tell me this, and she's sorry she had to tell me like that.
So that's 1 week after you had sex with her, he left you a note.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Miss Lockridge isn't holding back. She recounts the lonely journey of her pregnancy and King's birth, all done solo. Mr. Tidwell's absentee bingo card is full, and Miss Lockridge is calling him out. Keep your tissues handy, but also brace for a sudden turn in this emotional saga.
Let's go forward to the pregnancy. During that time, is he participating at all?
Not at all. Not at all. He didn't care about, I texted him when I was every doctor's appointment, all my weight gains, the weight changes. I even sent him voice recordings of the heartbeat. When I had my son, I was in labor for 36 hours, completely by myself, to the point where the nurse that was with me, she had to call the doctor and ask the doctor if she could stay with me.
Things heat up with a fiery exchange over a supposed parental handoff gone wrong. Miss Lockridge accuses Mr. Tidwell of dropping the dad ball while she was out of state. It's a he said, she said showdown with a spicy dash of mistrust and responsibility questions. The next twist is a real jaw dropper.
She had a modeling job, just all of a sudden just jumps up and leaves this baby with us. We took care of the baby at that time.
I call her, I'm like, when are you coming back? Like, I have stuff to do too. I have, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, boom, she was there to pick him up with some guy.
Because you threatened to take my son. I was in Nevada doing a photo shoot
and I don't hear from
and hanging out with my cousin.
I don't hear
she
from her
was
for
fixing
2
to have her
weeks.
baby. I can give you the proof of the
Paid
photo.
at a modeling job, you said you
Sure
getting paid to model.
Sure do.
The tension is thicker than a bowl of oatmeal as everyone waits for the DNA results.
Mr. Tidwell, you are not his father.
Are you kidding me?
I messed up, man.
I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry.
We're all here. We're all here.
Juliana, I'm here with you. I'm not gonna... Okay?